How's it going, people? There has been a interesting topic on my mind. A buddy had asked me, why I'm not helping people as much as I used to. Because when I was a young kid, I used to really be in my friend's corner. I used to really do a lot of things for other people. And my naivety would expect them to return the favor. Now, you're going to get the phrase, well, they don't have to. And you know what? You're right. They don't have to. But then I would take it a step further and I wouldn't help them a second time. But guess who was the bad guy? Me. Because you're right. You don't have to return the favor. But if I realize that it's going to be a one-way street and I retract that one-way street, all of a sudden I'm toxic. And you know what that really is on people is that's they know that the meal ticket's closed off and their handouts are done. So they are going to label you as the bad guy. And that's the thing, is sometimes you're going to be the bad guy no matter what in people's stories. And there's a lot of ungrateful people out there. They're going to not tell themselves about all the nice things you did for them. But that's what brings me into this topic. And of all the things about the Sermon on the Mount in Scripture, whether you believe in the Bible or not, one gets left out and overlooked constantly. And it's about casting pearls before swine. And I did grow up in a situation that was around a lot of narcissistic people. And when you're the giver and the people pleaser around a lot of narcissists, you tend to find a lot of that paradox. And it tends to go in waves. It's you help your friend out, they leave you hanging, you stop being their friend, they label you the bad guy, and no matter what, they don't want to admit that maybe they took your kindness for granted. Maybe they took your kindness for weakness. And this is why we're warned not to cast pearls before swine. Because when you cast pearls before swine, you're going to find a lot of people who want to use your guilt complex against you, who mistake kindness for weakness a lot, and it's happened multiple times. I can tell every story under the book, and not everybody who you do favors for is gonna be swine. A lot of people are going to be grateful, and there are some people who do like to pay the blessings forward, and I've seen a lot of those. I remember one time when I started doing mixed martial arts as a hobby, somebody came out of the blue and said, "This coach helped me when I was at the bottom, and I want to pay it forward to you." And I appreciated the offer. So I'm not saying that the world's full of swine, because there actually are some people who understand transactions and not taking kindness for weakness all the time. But I will be honest, there are a lot of swine out there. As a dog will return to their vomit, a sinner will return to his sin. Don't cast pearls before swine, because they will trample over the pearls, turn over, and tear you to pieces. Meaning some people, it will never be enough. They're always trying to move the goalpost. They're always trying to do this. Whether you believe in the Bible or not, you could at least believe in human nature. And us as people are fundamentally flawed creatures. We like to take advantage of stuff. We like to get that meal ticket. And the second that the meal ticket starts to go away, and the second that we lose the doormats in our life, we try to beckon the doormat back just so we could have the security of that doormat being at our feet. That's some of us, actually most of us. Now, a lot of us aren't like that because we understand that other people have lives, other people have values and stuff like that too. We live by a set of moral principles. But long story short, I really had to learn this before I even learned about this passage in the Bible. because when I was at the end of college, I had a lot of things going on. The pressure of graduation, what I was going to do when I was getting out. I was dealing with a really bad breakup at the time. And I had a friend who had burned a bridge with another close friend. Basically, this friend in high school and onward always had behavioral issues. He wasn't the best looking guy. He was kind of a pariah. I never really went out of my way to pick on him, but sometimes he would start in with me and I would defend myself, and he would, start having a problem with me, sticking up for myself, and he would tell me that all I ever do is belittle people and everything, and that's the lies people tell themselves. Especially when you stop casting the pearls out there. The swine will say, "Oh man, he was always just a bad person," or "He always was just this." They want to spin a narrative in their mind to make it seem like you're the worst thing ever because you did not give them their way. And it's true. It's how people operate. It's always how people have kind of gone about it. And it's not bad to acknowledge human nature. It's not bad to acknowledge human behavior. Some people don't like it, and the people who don't like it when you acknowledge bad human behavior are the ones who have those bad tendencies, and they don't like to feel exposed. They don't like it when people see through the games that they use to get through life. But he and one of my friends had a falling out because this kid with behavioral issues, even in college, wasn't really rolling with the ladies. And my buddy was dating a girl who was a little toxic herself. It was a whole toxic relationship. That one woman offered up to have relations with this guy to help boost his confidence. And even though I don't talk to either of these guys, the friend who did the favor was in the right here. Not necessarily, you could say, yeah, he opened himself up for this trouble, because who would offer their partner out like that? I mean, some people are into that. That's not my cup of tea. But what happened was it blew into this big drama show where after the first time, he was trying to get round 2 in. So I saw him bragging about trying to get round 2 into my face behind our friend's back. And that should have been the first thing, because every time I would say, things like, why are you sneaking behind his back? He'd say, oh, wait, I'm confused, right? And then after the whole friendship fell apart, he switched his mind over to, oh, she forced me to have relations with her. So then he would try to go to the authorities to get her into legal trouble. Think of that as a reverse situation if you've ever seen one. And every time I said, well, wait, weren't you trying to get round 2 in? He would go, I'm confused. Like that, right? You could tell. And this is the thing, because eventually he did something similar to me, not on that because I never offered anything like that, but as I was going through some stuff, after I had helped him, because he went to a foreign country to try to be the big man in China, right? And he looked at it that way. Eventually, things didn't go as planned, and he wasn't getting the attention he wanted because not everyone wanted to stay in his dorm room and watch Monty Python with him. A lot of those college students wanted to go experience life and party. He didn't want them to do that. They all had to stay in his room with him. The guy was a raging narcissist. And he eventually called up his folks and threatened to unalive himself had he not been taken home. And I dropped everything, even though I was dealing with a lot, to go see him when he was in psychiatric care. He still got taken out on his birthday for a nice dinner. He took the whole year off to go do whatever he wanted, to stay in, play video games all day. And this guy, also had the goals of being an attorney. I wonder how that worked out for him. But at the end of it all, he kind of just showed that he was a little mentally out there. He started using depression as a crutch, almost to the detriment to where when I started inviting him to hang out with my friends, he would start drama with me and use me as a stepping stone. And he was trying to usurp me in that situation because I had helped him, and any time I would call him out on it, my naive self would fall for that whole thing of, oh, wait, I'm confused. But no, I was being taken advantage of by a complete dirtbag. And eventually it got to the point where I finally called him out, and he said, all I ever do is act like the victim, right? Where he was using depression as a crutch. He actually bought pepper spray after he said he was going to sign up for self-defense classes, and he would actually threaten people with it. You don't give me my way, I will pepper spray you. And these were people who tried to help him that he do this to. So it was kind of like that moment in my life where after we had a huge falling out and I had nothing to do with him, he kept going on his way. He kept starting more problems. Even a future mutual friend told me that he had a run-in with him and he had to put him in his place because he's being a piece of garbage, right? I kind of realized that guy never outgrew his bad behavior, and I don't know if he ever became a successful attorney because I don't think he really looked at things objectively in a way that would enable him to be a successful attorney at all. But one thing I did understand about this guy was, although he wasn't the best looking, although he had severe social problems, he obviously had some severe mental problems too. So you could tell that he got a bad lot somewhat in life. He grew up in a very wealthy family too. But at the end of the day, he was really a spoiled brat. And I could tell that if he was blessed with looks, charm, anything like that, he wouldn't be playing the pity me, I have forsaken genetics card he always did. He would be tormenting everybody around him, having a power trip, and just being overall a bully. Okay? Because he had those tendencies inside of him deep down, and he would always lie to himself that he was different. And that's what a swine is. And you probably have a similar story. Someone who never self-reflects, someone who never wants to look at the things that they do wrong, despite having shortcomings or hardships in life, which we all do. I got a lot of hardships, but one of the things is I don't make sure my hardships become someone else's problem. In fact, with videos like this, I want you to take something away that, there are people out there like that are so narcissistic that they're trying to convince you that you're in the wrong, even though you're clearly not. And what's even better is that you should realize that you're not in the wrong. You're not crazy. You're not the problem. I think if you're watching this, you're probably a good-natured person who has tried to help people out and has ended up getting burned. And you need to retract the pearls you give and not let them mistake your kindness for weakness, because it could drag you down. No good deed goes unpunished, unfortunately, and especially in the age of narcissism that we live in, where you will see a lot of people always pointing the finger elsewhere, never acknowledging the games that they play. It's almost to the point where people who have a moral code are now looked down on. And I've had this said to me before. It's like, Zach, you follow a moral code, right? And one thing that they did say is you just tend to look down on people who don't follow a moral code. And let me tell you something. I do look down on people who play games like that. I do look down on people who are swine like that because they're the reason that good people are afraid to be good people. They're the reason people don't help each other as much as they should. Because you got to look around at American society and look how divided we are, not just on a political or gender or dating scale, but just on a personal level, how much we all hate each other. It's because of behavior like that. It's because of taking granted stuff like that. But if you let the swine be swine and you don't let them in your garden to eat all your vegetation, their ways are like a snake eating its own tail. They will always step on their own feet eventually. Separate yourselves from the lovers of self. I know a lot of people like to think that we're in the apocalypse in the end times. You know what? In a sense, I could see that, but I'm not going to make that claim. However, stick around people who you know are going to do the right thing, who want to build you up. Find a community, not fakeness. Peace out.